Hi, so what I'm doing in this video is I've had requests to create kind of an on-demand or video-based version of the workshops and seminars that I conduct at various conferences, trade shows, small business development centers, etc. So this is going to be a full version of the workshop. Unfortunately, you're going to have to contact me to get the workshop worksheets. I will put my contact information in, but I thought I'd put that out right away. So in case you are interested in budgeting for a point of sale system, that is the point of the worksheet. What we are going to talk about in this workshop presentation or seminar, normally I would introduce folks, but I'll introduce myself. And we're going to cover everything from some point of sale related statistics to looking at point of sale, where it's at today and where it's going, differences between web-based and traditional point-of-sale solutions, how the smartphones and tablet solutions play into the mix, tablet or mobile 1.0 and 2.0, different payment options when you're looking for a point-of-sale system, what to consider when looking at vendors, buying online, playing games, other gotchas that I've learned over the last 15 years. We'll touch on how long your system should last, and also definitely talk about EMV and how to deal with those merchant services options that are generally integrated within a point of sale system. And then the final part is the where you need the worksheet, and that's to calculate a return on investment to calculate for a point of sale budget. And of course, we'll have to skip the conclusions and questions, but you're always welcome to contact me for free and unbiased point of sale advice. Uh, Also, as a heads up, this is geared towards folks who have retail stores, restaurants, museums, golf courses, government-run entities where they need to track inventory. I do talk about merchant services, but this is primarily for folks searching for a point of sale system. That's a system that tracks inventory, customer information, sales reports, things like that. It's not credit and debit card processing, but I do touch on that because that's an important aspect of your business, and I hopefully can provide some helpful tips. So if you can't tell, I'm normally doing this in front of a group of anywhere from 6 to several hundred people, depending on the venue, but we'll run through this on YouTube. I do not represent a point of sale company. Not here to sell anything. This is just free and unbiased information. I am available as a resource as well if you need some help. And I will definitely put my contact information in the video description. So we're going to start with the sobering statistic that I like to start with, and that's basically 45.8% of all retail theft is employee theft or internal theft. And that came from a survey done by the National Retail Federation. And I'll come back to that at the very end, why that's so important. And, I have experience in both retail and restaurant management, actually about 7 years of each. I can say that's very true on the restaurant or the hospitality side as well, that probably about half of your theft or your shrinkage is internal. So if we look back at what point of sale used to be, it was basically a system for tracking, purchasing, and receiving food and supplies, track some basic customer information, kept some customer purchase history, mainly on the retail side, and kept track of stock levels, and then usually offered some very basic accounting. So where we're going with point of sale, or even where it's at now and where it's going down the road, is we're seeing more and more direct connection to online shopping carts and online ordering. Idea there is if you retail, you have just one set of inventory. You're not trying to manage an online shopping cart and then an in-store system. One system does everything. For both retail and restaurant, we're seeing proactive email marketing. Now, I'm not talking about something where you have to maintain a list. It happens behind the scenes. Basically, it's tracking customer preferences, customer purchasing history, how often the customer or the guest is in your business, and sending out emails behind the scenes. So, great marketing tool, and you're not really having to put any effort into it. We're also seeing pretty standard now is the systems have built-in loyalty or frequent diner programs and gift card programs. Obviously saves you time to have everything built into the system, and it keeps your folks coming back to your business. Whether no matter what your business is, the general rule of thumb varies on who you talk to, but 80% of your sales come from 20% of your customers, and that's why the loyalty and the frequent diner is so important. Um, Obviously, seeing a lot more use of apps on smartphones and tablet systems, and I try to reference to those as mobile point of sale solutions because they operate on a mobile device. Because of the mobile devices, we're seeing the ability to sell anywhere or take orders anywhere. As long as you have some sort of internet connectivity or network connectivity, you're good to go. Not super popular, but some folks like this as solutions can send out alerts to you. So if you're outside of the business, vacation, etc., you can still be alerted to what's happening in the business. We're seeing stronger interfaces to accounting software. Some of the more advanced retail systems are even able to do replenishment forecasting. That's to track for seasonal items, things like that. We're seeing advances in how multiple stores can be managed from a single location, like a single headquarters or single warehouse. Coming up are things like direct connection to your social media sites. So the system itself can spit out, a tweet or a post on Facebook or to Google Plus, etc. Connections to auction sites like eBay or Amazon. So you're not quite just limited to a specific shopping cart. You can use multiple shopping carts through different providers, different websites. Obviously, orders via smartphones or tablet computers, and then something that's kind of new we should be seeing coming up shortly is online marketplaces. And what that means is a system that is going to factor in your location against the person's location. So if they're searching for hip boots in Casper, Wyoming, it's going to show the user not only online options, but if there is a local store using that point of sale system that sells that particular product. So a little bit of lingo, because I know anything technology we like to use terms, and one thing I try to do is not use a bunch of acronyms and things like that. So, what I consider a traditional system is basically it's a computer-based point of sale system that runs on a Windows or Mac system. It's like any other software program, like Microsoft Office or QuickBooks Accounting, where you buy the CD, DVD, or you download it from the internet and it's run and stored on a local computer. Now, these type of systems are faster because it's actually all the data is right there on the actual computer. And it's nice because you actually own everything from a return on investment standpoint. Obviously, there are higher initial investment costs and, of course, some annual, ongoing, monthly, and annual costs for maintenance and support and updates. Now, web-based or cloud-based point-of-sale systems, they rely on a fast internet connection. You never actually, in most cases, you never actually own anything, but then you're using kind of a pay-as-you-go type plan. A lot of folks like to think of that as it's another utility bill. Just like you pay your gas, electric, phone, internet, well, your point-of-sale system has a flat monthly fee. And then generally that monthly fee includes your support and your service. And these are commonly referred to as cloud-based point-of-sale systems or software as a service type systems. And then you generally find these used on Mac and Windows PCs or mobile devices like smartphones and tablet computers. Of course, there's always exceptions, but I'm trying to hit the highlights. So how do our mobile friends or mobile devices play into this? What I found is that working with smartphones and tablets or mobile devices, the learning curve is a lot quicker. Folks, especially your entry level staff, just picks up on it a lot quicker. And it's nice not to be tied down to just having to be at a specific computer. You can take the mobile device with you in many cases. So VAR Insider is a publication that I still subscribe to. they did a survey and they said about half of all retailers want a smartphone or tablet-based point-of-sale system. But within that same survey, they found that about half of all the customers look for a traditional computer cash register system to pay for items. So, what we're seeing is customer, half of them are okay with mobile devices, half of them are looking for, that traditional looking cash register type system, even though it's a computer. Um, Restaurants, definitely have been quicker to adapt mobile technology. I would say now that retail is catching up because I've seen a real definitive shift over the last, well, really now pretty much through all of 2014 of folks only interested in searching for a mobile or that sort of point of sale solution for their business or organization. So a couple of things to keep in mind if you are in that, where you are looking for just a mobile solution, maybe your volume doesn't quite justify it, and I guess I should touch on that. There's some breaking points when it comes to volume and what you should be looking for. And again, regardless whether you're retail, restaurant, museum, whatever. If you're doing 60,000 and under, really you should be looking at a cash register or Square. Reason being is you just don't have the volume to justify, spending any money on a point of sale system yet. Now, if you're in that 60 to maybe 350 or 400,000 in gross annual sales per location, that's right where the mobile solutions are perfect. You pay your 80 to 140 bucks a month per location. You're going to get a lot out of the system as far as data and inventory tracking or, menu programming, customer or guest information, employee information, things like that. If you're, say, 350, 400,000 on up, then really you should be searching for one of the computer-based systems or a system that can work on both a computer and a mobile device. Reason being, you're a little more sophisticated, probably a little more sophisticated in your operation, where you need some of the more advanced and more complete things that the computer-based solutions can do. Specifically things like more detailed modifiers on the restaurant side, more detailed reporting, food cost, and on the retail side, tracking, the cost of goods sold, printing barcode tags and labels within the system, having true purchasing and receiving, having true accounts receivable, having different pricing levels that are auto-assigned to like preferred customers or military or corporate customers, things like that. So, and you can always contact me if you need more details, or else I have some other videos and blog posts about that as well. So getting back to mobile 1.0 and 2.0, which is what I'm supposed to be talking about, the tablet and smartphone systems have evolved into two different groups. The 1.0 solutions are kind of like your NCR, Silver, and Clover. They handle basic functions like tracking sales and providing basic reports, is what that's supposed to say. The mobile 2.0 solutions like Bindo have more advanced features like some basic barcode label printing and some basic purchasing and receiving. I've definitely seen a very definitive shift on the blog site that I maintain with folks only interested in mobile solutions, like I mentioned before. Part of that is, if you look at all these mobile solutions, and we'll count, Silver and Clover and Bindo and Vend and Shopkeep and everyone else you can think of, they all pretty much run about the same price, which is interesting because if you can get something more advanced for the same price and it has functions or features that are appropriate or applicable to your business, well, why not? Why go with a lesser system if you can get better for the same amount? And again, the tablet systems, they can be used if your gross sales go up to 1 million, but I really think the sweet spot is that, say, 60,000 to 350 or maybe 400,000. And again, they have the set monthly fee. Another resource I have that you can always contact me for is I do have a comparison chart that includes costs and a feature function comparison of many of the popular retail point of sale systems out there right now. So purchase options. Now this is going under the assumption that you're not looking for a mobile solution, you're looking for something that you are actually going to purchase. Now, of course, you can purchase it outright, kind of like if you paid cash for a house, or you can look at leasing or funding, and then that would be, kind of like if you're taking out a mortgage or a loan to buy a house or a car. Or you can go with the monthly fee route with mainly the mobile systems or mobile solutions. And the thing just to keep in mind is that the monthly payments are ongoing. Other than usually the hardware, you never actually own the software. But at the same point, we never own our internet access or our electric bills or our gas service. So you kind of have to look at it that way. So obviously you're going to have to look at someone to purchase the system from. And here are some things to keep in mind while you're doing that. Make sure they have references for businesses using their solutions in your area. Reason being is it is very great if you can see it in person, in action. That will definitely give you a feel for how well the system works in a real-world environment. Make sure that the vendor provides a complete solution, everything you need, hardware, software, peripherals, and installation, training, and ongoing support. The key here is you don't want to be part of the blame game. Basically, that means one vendor is going to blame the other. So if you're thinking of piecemealing the system, do not do that. That is one of the many calls I receive. Someone thinks they can save $200 by getting some parts from one place and some parts from another, and then one part fails and everyone blames each other, and guess what? You get stuck in the middle and you're still trying to run your business and your system is down. So it's not worth it. Don't do it. Believe me, I've seen it over the last 15 years, time and time again, and the folks always come back saying, yeah, I need your help. So as also make sure the vendor supplies what you need for training, installation, and ongoing support, as well as what you need for IT services. And of course, this varies to what you have for internal resources. But if you don't have an IT department, work with a vendor that can provide maybe some of the other things you need, like as applicable, backing up the software data, doing your antivirus scans, things like that. Make sure they have extended hours of support, unless you happen to only be open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. It's silly that someone who provides a point of sale solution doesn't recognize that most businesses that use point of sale solutions are not just open 8 to 5, so make sure they have support in the evenings and the weekends, depending on what hours you're actually open. I do recommend looking at a vendor that offers more than one solution, or their point of sale solution or system is designed specifically for your type of business. I don't like canned approaches. So if you're a pet store, it should be designed for pet stores, and they should have other pet stores using their solution. If you're a liquor store, same situation. Museum, restaurant side, if you're quick serve versus table serve, if you have a drive-through, or if you're seasonal, if you're kiosk, concessions, things like that, should all be not just a canned system, but something designed for your vertical market, is how we'd like to call it. If you are looking at one of the mobile solutions, make sure they offer a free trial period. It says a lot if they will allow you to use it, their app, their point of sale app for, say, 30 days or so, and most do. Also make sure that no matter what solution you're using, they let you pick and choose who is going to handle your merchant services. That's who does your debit and credit card processing. Reason being, if you sign on with places like even Square, or Harbor Touch, or Clover, or Intuit point of sale, they're going to force you to use them for credit card processing. That is going to cost you dearly in the long run. That's something, again, I've seen time and time again. They make promises and things like that, and it doesn't matter. I mean, after you sign up, you're locked into them. They can raise your rates. That may not seem like much, but an average business, you could be looking at spending three, four, $5,000 over the course of, say, 3 to 4 years in extra merchant fees or excessive merchant fees. So just avoid that. Avoid those systems. It isn't worth it. And if you're like me, I'd rather see that in profit than being spent on merchant services fees. And also make sure that no matter who you're working with, they have a way for you to access your data. Should something happen, make sure you have access to your customer information, your inventory, sales information, anything that's stored on the system. Here's some common gotchas. I really kind of already covered the first one. Don't piecemeal the system. Buy everything from one source. It's not worth it trying to save a couple $100 by buying different parts from different vendors. Invest in some time in learning to use the system. Otherwise you're going to end up with a very expensive cash register because you won't be using all the functions and features within the system. Keep in mind too, as you're looking at solutions, what's the plans for your business? Are you going to add locations, add product lines? Are you going to grow? Make sure your system can adjust. The buzzword is it can scale. So basically, your point of sale system needs to adjust according to the size and needs of your business over time. And I'll just stress this again. Don't buy any systems that force you to use one company for merchant services. It's not worth it, and it'll cost you. And I've seen that happen time and time again. This is pretty basic. Most of the computer-based systems nowadays are good for 5 to 7 years. Could go up to 10 depending on the nature of how they're used and the environment. I cover most of these other points as far as the vendor that can grow with your business, ongoing support, make sure that the solution has updates, etc. The only thing that's kind of a variable right now still is how well these iPad devices are going to last in the real world. And I'm speaking not just, I'm speaking outside of controlled environments, maybe outside or concessions or things like that. So it will be interesting to see. And what I usually tell folks, since we're on durability, really don't need the extended warranties on the hardware, but budget for a failure. So set aside $500 each year per location for an equipment failure. That'll cover, if the receipt printer breaks or the barcode scanner breaks or you need to replace the cash drawer or things like that. You'll be budgeted for it, but you won't have spent a lot of money on extended warranties. So now we get into merchant services. And of course, even though this is separate from point of sale, most point of sale systems now run the debit and credit card processing through the system itself. So that's why I talk a little bit about merchant services. As we know, 90% of our customers pay using debit and credit card. So you pretty much these days have to have a merchant services account. But, if you're not going to be running more than 5,000 in monthly gross sales, really Square or maybe a cash register is your best bet. Reason being is you just don't have the volume to justify a true merchant services account. Now, if you're over 5,000 in monthly gross sales, then you should be, as part of searching for the point of sale system, either talking to the place that currently offers your merchant services or looking at new places. I generally recommend getting 3 quotes from different merchant services companies. A good place to start is the bank or the credit union that handles your business banking. I've heard good things about Costco, or you can choose from one of the 500 other companies that will be calling on you related to merchant services for debit and credit card processing. Again, I want to stress that your point of sale system needs to allow you to pick and choose and change who you use for merchant services. That way, you're always paying the least amount of fees for debit and credit card processing. As you're, looking at merchant services options, be sure to ask how quickly funds are deposited into your bank account after you close or batch out at the end of each day. 1 to 2 business days is normal. And then I, I've come across this, I never really specialized in merchant services, but since it's related to point of sale, folks would ask for my help. And I've run into some unique situations where folks have hidden fees. And I'm not talking just early termination fees, but I'm talking weird stuff like $10 a month online statement access fees, which is completely ridiculous. It should be no charge for an online statement access. So just watch, read those terms and conditions in the contracts carefully and look for those little things, those little fees and gotchas that they like to hide because it adds up over time. So big thing, EMV, EuroPay, MasterCard, Visa compliance. Basically means the US is catching up with the rest of the world in that we will start needing to accept and process and pay with credit and debit cards that have an embedded chip inside of them. Currently, the compliance date in the US is October 1st of 2015. Now, this goes beyond just retail, restaurant, museum, everyone who does anything related to credit and debit card acceptance will need new hardware and then possibly a software update. So as you're searching for a point of sale solution, ask the vendor what their plan is for EMV. Again, that stands for EuroPay, MasterCard, Visa. They need to have a definitive plan in action at this point because it takes time, to test hardware and test software updates and things like that. And plus, why would you spend money on a system now and then find out in, say, September, you're going to have to buy new hardware and maybe a software upgrade? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So again, make sure whoever you're talking to that would be providing your point of sale solution or system, they have a definitive plan for EMV. If they don't, that is a huge warning sign because, again, it takes time to develop, to test, and all these things. And you may be thinking, oh, I don't care, I just won't comply. No, that's great, don't have to. You'll just be liable for all fraudulent charges. So, someone hits your business for 10 grand, you're up 10 grand, and as a bonus, you will no longer be able to accept credit cards or debit cards. So you'll be a cash and check only business. So, just like the PCI stuff that came out a few years ago, take this seriously and plan now so you're not caught off guard down the road. So now we get into budgeting for a point of sale system. Now, this point on would be great if you'd already emailed me so I could send you a worksheet that goes along with this, but we will continue and I will kind of fill one in as we go through it. Now, this is generally geared towards folks whose business volume and technology needs are such that they are searching to purchase or lease a system. It is not really geared towards folks who are looking for a system where you just pay the 80 to 140 bucks a month. But you can still go through it if you're curious. This is not something I've made up. This is based on data gathered by National Retail Federation and National Cash Register. And we will just go right into it. So basically, this is a return on investment worksheet to calculate what is kind of justified or cost effective for your business. And I would say, besides all the data, this is just based on real world experience. I mean, over the last 15 years and having contacted and worked with literally now almost 4,000 businesses, you glean a lot of information. So this isn't made up numbers. So I'm going to start, and this is the blank worksheet. and hopefully this will highlight for me here. So at the top here um, is where you would put our gross annual sales. And there's a little variation between a retail version of this worksheet and a restaurant. I have both, so bear with me or skip forward a few minutes. This is going to be the retail version, and then we'll hit the restaurant version. So in here, we put our gross annual sales. So let's say it's 250,000. And then we're going to divide by 2. Reason is we want to account for cost of goods sold. And so basically dividing by 2 gives us 125,000. And then we are going to multiply by 2%, and 125,000 times 2% is 2,500. So 2,500 is going to be our magic number. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at some areas where point of sale systems increase revenue. Okay. So one area is, and I'm sorry, this is actually the restaurant. So if you're retail, skip ahead a couple minutes and then we'll get to the retail specific. So restaurant, one area, loyalty program and other marketing, frequent diner program, advertising, analyzing customer preference. Another possible area is right staff at the right time, advice on what to order for food supplies and things like that. Increasing table turns through speed of service, substitute item suggestions, and then analyzing customer demand, especially during rush periods, staffing, things like that. Gift cards, gift cards are advertising. Not all gift cards are fully redeemed, and that's a good thing because whether they're over redeemed, under redeemed, or not redeemed at all, generally means more money for you. And of course, point of sale system will reduce costs, reduces food waste due to ticket errors, tells you kind of your best and worst selling items, and then reduces shrink. Going back to that original statement about theft, you have an audit trail. You can, even on the restaurant side, you can do physical inventory counts, see how many heads of lettuce you have and cans of tomato soup and things like that. And of course, it gives you some security settings, who can and can't void sales, perform returns, discount items, etc. So the idea here is any one of these 4 areas can increase your revenue by 2%. And of course, that 2% is what we have up here, that 2,500, which again came from our gross sales divided by 2, multiplied by 2%. Now the trick here is you don't want to double dip. So if you're already offering gift cards, you would leave this blank. But say you're not doing any of this, you just have a basic cash register and that's it. So then you can put in 2,500 in box B, box C, box D, and box E, because you're not utilizing any of this yet. So these are all 4 of these are opportunities for your business to increase revenue by about 2%. And so you add box B through E together, and you get a total down here. Oops, sorry. And this is not going. So basically, in this case, we're at 10,000. Now we can take that 10,000 and basically that's about what you should be budgeting for a point of sale system. Idea being then you'll recoup that $10,000 within the first year, and then after that, that's extra income, outside of some nominal expenses for support and software updates, and that $500 for equipment repairs and replacement. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it pays for itself in a year, and then suddenly you've got extra money coming in. If you want to, you can also take that 10,000 and divide by 12, 36, or 60 if you're thinking more of like a leasing. Obviously, I mean, if you're going out 5 years, it's nice on the budget, but after 5 years, especially in a restaurant or food service, systems pretty much will have had it. So you're not going to get huge ROI out of it, but in the long run, you'll still be better off than just using a cash register. So on the retail side, if this would stop skipping ahead on me, kind of the same thing here. So let's say again, we've got our annual gross sales of 250,000. Divided by 2 would be 125,000. Multiplied by 2% is 2,500. Now, here are kind of the things specific to retail point of sale systems where revenue is increased. And again, these are the 4 areas here. So again, we have loyalty programs and marketing campaigns that are happening behind the scenes. We have, increased sales because we've got inventory when folks want it. You've got minimum stock levels to make sure you're not running out of things. Even on the retail side, we've got substitute item suggestions. So maybe one rain parka is out of stock, but there's a similar one that's in stock. So that way, person's in your business. They made the effort to come in. They want to buy something. Let's sell them something and have them spend money, not turn them away. Gift cards again. That's a huge area, because I don't think folks really realize how gift cards are spent in the end and how they definitely increase revenue for you. Reduce costs. And again, I think the big thing here, not just reports on, top and least selling items, but on that, again, the internal shrinkage or internal theft. Having the audit trail, the physical inventory counts, the security settings. It's so important in such a great way that the point of sale system increases revenue by reducing a lot of these unwanted expenses. Now, what I'll do in this case is I'm going to say that I just have a cash register, but I already have a gift card program. So what I'm going to do in this case then is I'm going to put 2,500 in box B, 2,500 in box C. I'm going to leave this box blank because I already have gift cards, so there's no sense double dipping. Or it wouldn't be accurate to double dip. And I'll put 2,500 here. So in this case, again, 250,000 in annual sales divided by 2 to get 125,000 means my 2% number is 2,500. Areas where a point of sale system will help me are 2,500 for box B, 2,500 for box C, 0 for box D because I already have a gift card program, and then 2,500 for box E. That's going to give me a total of 7,500. Is going to be my realistic budget if I'm going to purchase a point of sale system. And again, it will pay for itself within that first year. And then outside of nominal fees for support and upgrades and supplies and maybe something breaking, I'm suddenly picking up, maybe about 6,000 more in additional revenue. And this is only for a business that's doing 250,000. So you can imagine if you're more up in that $500,000 mark or 1 million mark, how much more revenue you could be generating using a point of sale system. Okay. That was a lot. So again, if you need the worksheets, if I've completely confused you, if you have questions, and you need some free and unbiased point of sale advice or information, here's all my contact info. Email is probably the easiest. I will put this in the video description as well. This is normally then when I'm doing this in front of groups, obviously then we open up for questions. We want to look at lots of demos of different programs, things like that. Or folks just want a little one-on-one help, then that's where we shift from the general formal workshop to a little more informal. I hope that helps. I will cease talking, and thanks for your patience.